I'm Elizabeth Warren, Chair of the Congressional Oversight Panel. I'm here to introduce our March Oversight Report, the unique treatment of GMAC under TARP. For most of us, a car is among the most expensive purchases we'll ever make, second only to our homes. Because cars are so expensive, about 3/4 of all sales are financed, which is just another way of saying that without access to credit, most people couldn't buy the cars they buy. The same dynamic holds for car dealers. Say you walk onto a car lot and see 100 new cars for sale. Very few dealers have enough money in the bank to buy all those cars outright. Instead, they rely on special loans called floor plan financing. Without these loans, dealers could not buy the cars they hold as inventory. Their sales lots would sit empty and they would eventually go out of business. Different dealerships are financed by different banks, but for more than 3/4 of General Motors and Chrysler dealers, the bank is GMAC, an independent company that was spun off from General Motors in 2006. As you might imagine, the special relationship between GMAC, GM, and Chrysler has played a critical role as the automakers have struggled for survival. In late 2008, as GM and Chrysler verged on collapse, as the economy was falling into the Great Recession, and as the financial system was suffering its greatest shock in decades, the Bush administration decided that, at such a precarious moment, GM and Chrysler must not be allowed to fail. They bailed out the automakers. Once they had made that choice, a second soon followed. Because car dealers absolutely depend on floor plan financing to stay in business, the administration decided that GMAC must not fail either. On December 29, 2008, they bailed out GMAC at a cost of $5 billion. In the months that followed, GMAC received further bailouts. It was one of 19 banks subjected to stress tests to ensure that it could withstand even a sharp economic downturn. When the tests revealed that GMAC was too weak to survive on its own, the new Obama administration made further investments totaling $12 billion. Now, it is important to realize that although floor plan financing was the key reason for GMAC's rescue, it is far from GMAC's only business. GMAC also provides about 20% of loans to individuals buying GM and Chrysler cars. It has been in the home mortgage business since 1985, and it also sells insurance. It even finances other businesses, such as manufacturers and distributors of products other than automobiles. In other words, when Treasury bailed out GMAC, they bailed out much more than an auto financer. They bailed out what was at the time the 11th largest bank in the country. And in particular, they bailed out its residential mortgage unit, which was suffering huge losses in the subprime crisis. Although the panel takes no position on whether Treasury should have rescued GMAC, we found that Treasury missed many opportunities to improve accountability and to protect taxpayers' money. For example, despite Treasury's claim that it rescued GMAC in order to save GM and Chrysler, GMAC as a bank was treated with far greater deference than either of the troubled auto companies. Treasury did not, for example, wipe out GMAC's shareholders, nor did it require GMAC to create a workable plan for returning to profitability, nor did it require a detailed public explanation of how the company would use taxpayer funds to increase consumer lending. But it imposed all those conditions on the car companies. The panel is also concerned about whether Treasury fully considered and properly weighed its options for preserving GMAC before settling on the current bailout strategy. In connection with the Chrysler and GM bankruptcies, Treasury might have been able to orchestrate a strategic bankruptcy for GMAC as well. This approach could have preserved GMAC's automotive lending while winding down its other operations. dealing with the losses of the mortgage industry, and putting the company on overall sounder footing. Treasury also appears not to have fully considered merging the financing portion of GMAC back into GM, which would restore GM's financing operations to the model generally followed by other automotive manufacturers. These decisions mean that Treasury is now struggling to deal with a GMAC that is not financially rehabilitated, that Treasury has no clear exit strategy, and that taxpayers are less protected. To read the full report and to see full details of the panel's findings, you can visit our website at cop.senate.gov. GMAC's bailout has come at staggering public expense. So far, taxpayers have spent more than $17 billion, and we own more than half of the company. Both GMAC and Treasury insist that the company is solvent and will not require any additional bailout funds, and the panel hopes that is so. But taxpayers already bear significant risk. The Office of Management and Budget estimates that $6.3 billion or more of the GMAC investment may never be repaid. In light of the scale of these potential losses, we should all be deeply concerned that Treasury has not required GMAC to lay out a clear path to viability or a strategy for fully repaying taxpayers. More than a year has elapsed since the government first bailed out GMAC, and it is long past time for Treasury to lay out a clear view of the path ahead for this troubled bank.